Well, thank God for that. But can I tell you, or can you tell us, what did Robert Byrd do that was so offensive and in violation of the Constitution? Because the only thing I know that was offensive regarding him was that he was a KKK member. But he did come out and apologize for that and say, hey,
No, but
sorry.
see, I'm not discussing the extremes. Once in his life he was a KKK member. Let's get away from that for a moment, and let's just say the non-extremes that are considered business as usual in Washington, D.C. Robert Byrd was a man who believed in spending, growing government, most of which is unconstitutional. Example, universal health care, cap and trade. He supported them all. He would have voted for cap and trade. I'm sure he voted for universal health care because every Democrat in the entire U.S. Senate voted for universal health care, otherwise known as Obamacare. All of them violations of the Constitution. The United States government doesn't have a right to be involved in the health care of every individual in this country, and does not have a right for certain to force individuals who can't afford it to buy health care from specific insurance companies, thereby making them rich.
Well, that
is not in the Constitution.
No, and it's a big, big problem, Arian, and one of the areas I would hope and like to see overturned. Do you think that's possible now that we're chatting about this?
If Obamacare could be overturned, you said?
Well, or at least just that piece that says you have to have it even if you can't afford it and you have to pay for it.
The Supreme Court's certainly going to look at it. It's certainly being sued on the constitutional ground that you cannot demand, the government, public entity, can't demand that private individuals buy a product from specific companies that therefore will make a profit. And that's what Obamacare really did. It expanded the role of government. It led us down the road of socialism. But most importantly, it's crony socialism, as opposed to crony capitalism. Because what it says is we're going to make insurance companies rich, not poor. We're going to hand them 30 million new customers who have to buy it at the threat of breaking the law. I think that's unconstitutional. I think the Supreme Court should rule against it on those grounds. At least I hope so. And also on the grounds that it violates states' rights. I think health insurance and health care should be a state rights issue. The single most important thing you could ever do to lower the cost of health care is give every state the right to handle it differently than one size fits all for the federal government, and allow individuals to buy health care from any state, any company, any policy that fits their needs.
And
that
across state lines.
And that, of course, is something Obama never went near. And the second most important thing you could do is to get involved with what I call lawsuit reform or tort reform. Get the lawyers out of the process. Limit the damages and limit the ability to sue. And Obama, being a lawyer and his wife being a lawyer, he did the exact opposite. He never went near lawsuit or tort reform.
Of course he didn't, because he's a lawyer, and all the people in the Senate are the lawyer. It's funny you bring that up, because I brought that up with Tom Daschle, who was a guest on this program, and he said, that's only worth about 1% of our total health care costs. And I thought, no, it's not. It's worth a heck of a lot more than that. But it's just the way a lawyer would try to defend that with some crap that isn't sensible at all, obviously.
You know what's funny, Lisa? Everybody, all the talk show hosts around the country know the big picture. Obamacare is bad, and it's going to make government bigger, and it's going to do all kinds of terrible things to individuals, and it's going to raise the prices, not lower them. And the proof, of course, Massachusetts, where they have basically government-run health care in the state of Massachusetts, and costs have spiraled, dramatically higher, not lower. People know all those talking points. What they don't know is the little things that violate our lives, our Constitution, and our rights that are part of all these 2,000-page bills. Obamacare, of course, 2,400 pages of lawyer talk. I'll bet you don't know there's a little clause in there inserted by the IRS, and because it passed, it's now law. And what that clause says is, starting January 1st, 2012, every business in America, including one-man small businesses or one-woman small businesses, every business in America has to now file a 1099 form with the government for every single check they write, everything they buy, every credit card purchase, everything you do. If you move, if you sneeze, if it adds up to $600 or more in a year, you have to file a 1099. No longer a 1099 for your employees that are paid $600 a year or more. This is a 1099 for every item you buy as a businessman or woman. It's going to create a blizzard of paperwork that will bury and destroy and put out of business half the businesses in America. It'll destroy millions, if not tens of millions of jobs, and the only people it's going to enrich are the IRS, big government, big unions, and most importantly, every accountant and bookkeeper and controller in America. You're going to need a lot more of them.
Wow, I had no idea that that rule went into effect.
Nobody
Thank you
knows. I'm
for
telling you,
enlightening
these are
us.
little things that government springs on us. They attach them to bills or they insert them in bills. It's a 2,400-page bill. You don't know what's in every line until after it passes. Do you remember Nancy Pelosi's favorite line? You know, what exactly is in health care? And she said, I don't know, but we'll
find out.
if we pass it.
Right, right. Thanks, Nancy. We're so glad
Well,
you're
now
on
we're
top of
finding
that.
Out 18,000 new IRS agents and a new rule that basically says every businessman and woman in America should work every hour of every day, keeping track of everything they buy and sending it to the Gestapo, otherwise known as the IRS, who wants to snuff out every cash dollar in the United States of America so no one avoids taxes. That's what this is all about.
Wow. Let's scoot over and talk about BP. Wayne, I know that you have strong feelings about this, but what I would like to know is who is really to blame for the whole BP disaster? Everybody's trying to shove blame off somewhere. Is Tony Hayward the person to blame? Is Halliburton? And what exactly is Halliburton's role in the BP?
I missed one sentence there. Our connection is not the greatest. You asked who's to blame for, I assume, the Gulf disaster?
Yes, for BP. Is it the CEO, Tony? Is it the Halliburton? What exactly is Halliburton's role? Is there one particular person or organization to actually
Listen, I blame government. I've always blamed government. It's like the subprime and the Wall Street disaster. Everyone blamed private industry and the Wall Street firms. No, it was government oversight. It was crony capitalism. It was government forcing every single bank in America to loan to someone based on the color of their skin. There weren't enough minorities or low-income people buying homes, so government forced them literally at gunpoint saying, you know, listen, if you're not willing to help us with this and bring your numbers up, whether people can afford the house or not, then we're never going to approve your next merger. We're not going to help you with all the bank legislation. You've got to do this, and banks went along with it. And then when the country went bankrupt, the banks went bankrupt, and Wall Street went bankrupt, we all blamed private industry. It was government, and it's the same thing with offshore oil drilling. The deal is that environmentalists have tied up this country, Lisa, so you can't build a new plant, a facility to process gasoline or oil or natural gas. You haven't built a new nuclear plant in 30 years. You can't drill offshore anywhere near the shore. They make you drill 5 miles or 50 miles offshore, and 50 miles offshore you got to drill 5 miles down. Makes it much more dangerous and much more likely there will be an accident like this. It's environmentalists who caused this accident, and it's government rules and regulations that caused it. And then the last thing, interestingly enough, government oversight over this facility and all oil drilling has not been good, because whoever makes the biggest campaign contributions winds up with loose oversight and very friendly government oversight over their project, and little mistakes aren't noticed, and next thing you know, you have a disaster. So don't just blame private industry. BP gets blame, but most importantly, I think it's government at the root of every problem we've got. And oh, by the way, I forgot one other thing. Government's the one that said you have to drill way out at sea, so you have to drill in a dangerous fashion that could cause an accident. And in return for that, we'll lower your liability to only $75 million. Now, this is going to wind up costing, in my opinion, $50 billion or more,
Wow.
and their legal liability for BP is technically only $75 million. Now, Obama went to them and said, I'll throw every one of you in jail if you don't put aside $20 billion, and he put a gun to their head. That's illegal, too, by the way. That's, mafia-style Chicago politics.
Well, look where he's from. Yeah.
Browbeating somebody and intimidating them to agree to do something that Obama had no right to do. The truth is, Lisa, there never should have been a $75 million cap, and they never should have forced them to drill so far out at sea, and then private industry wouldn't have had this problem in the first place.
Well, and then there is the argument, though, if they did drill closer to sea and something did happen there. I know it's actually less riskier there, but what happens to tourism? So there was, I think, a little bit of an argument there as far as the location of drilling.